What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Rose Motion TV podcast. I'm your host, Malik, aka Malachi Motion, and today we got Calgary-based DJ Franz. How you doing, brother?
How's it going? How you guys doing? Thanks for having me. This is a dope setup.
Thank you. It took a little bit of time to dial it, but after a while, you get all the little pieces. So you were saying today you had just a bunch of crazy music things going on. So
yeah, man.
What's going on?
yeah. There's a lot of stuff coming up for sure. So I help out with a page called Atmosphere.
Okay.
So we throw parties out of Fortuna's Row. So it's a really neat venue, kind of higher end upscale venue, very like Tulum vibes, very organic. And then we generally cater to like more international music. So sometimes organic, deeper house music, Afro house, Amapiano, Latin stuff. And the style of food is pan Latin American. So cooking up a lot of events with that venue specifically, doing a lot of takeovers.
So you got the food as well?
Yeah, so it's
damn.
It's a restaurant, and it's actually one of the best restaurants in the city. Like they've won like some recent awards and stuff like that. So it's like upscale dining. But then if you walk through the restaurant, there is another room that fits about 150 people, and it's basically like a standing cocktail lounge.
Damn.
So the owner's super chill. He basically is trying to bring like the supper club vibes to Calgary, and then that's kind of what we're there for. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, I definitely want to go deeper into that, but first, what kind of got you into DJing?
Hey, what's up, everybody? If you're liking this content, don't forget to follow and subscribe to Rose Motion TV. Smash that like button for the algorithm and comment who I should get on the podcast next, or a really crazy question you think I should ask them. Now back to the video.
Like, what made you want to become a DJ?
Yeah, that's funny.
Please tell me.
Yeah, I've always been into music. Like my mom is from the South Pacific, and then my dad is the Caribbean. So
word.
I just like grew up listening to like dancehall and reggae and all of that stuff. And then my dad was actually like an audio head. He kind of like wired up cars, speakers. Like he was like the guy that people would like take their cars to like get their speakers done and
get
whatnot.
the subs and everything.
Yeah, so he was a bit of an audio head, and then like he collected records and all that kind of stuff. So like old school like rock records, and because at the time that was like the 80s, I guess,
Yeah.
And then my mom was also a music head. So because my dad was a music head, he would always get like the new Pioneer speakers and like all that stuff. And then my mom would always be getting like the new kind of like the club music or like the disco stuff, because music was really big in Fiji where she's from. So it's just like there's music playing all over the islands everywhere you go. And then when they came here before I was born, they were like fresh off the boat. So they were just like enjoying living in Canada. So I grew up around a lot of different music. And then I was like that kid in like grade 4 that was listening to like Russian house and stuff like that. In like computer lab, I was like exposed to like electronic music like really early on because of just like my friends' older brothers and stuff. So I kind of always had it in me, like the love for music, but then I didn't really identify as a DJ up until like the last couple years, to be honest.
That's crazy because for electronic music, that's pretty soon, because I didn't even know about electronic music.
Yeah.
Like I remember, I think the first time I heard electronic music was Deadmau5. And I even know, and I heard it on my like laptop speakers, and all my friends were going to go to the Olympics, the free concert that Deadmau5 was playing.
Right.
I'm listening to it on my laptop speakers, and I'm just like,
Deadmau5 5.
I just don't. Yeah, that's literally what I thought. I was like, what are you guys doing? What's the number for? I don't get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just crazy that you got into it so early.
Mm-hmm.
Were you playing any instruments, or did you just vibing with it?
Yeah, so like my cousins like lived in a small town out in BC.
Oh, word.
And they were always into band and stuff.
Yeah.
And then but like band was too expensive growing up, so like I actually didn't really have like access to play music or like instruments, so I still don't really play instruments. And then I just basically learned how to DJ.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So when you first got into DJing, like what were you DJing on? Like what kind of gear?
Yeah. So I like a homie of mine had, just like a basic like controller setup back in the day. But a close friend of mine, his dad had some hand-me-down 1000s.
Oh, yeah.
So I had started on actually CDJ like 1000s and then like an old like DJing mixer.
What do those take? Like, could you do USBs on the 1000s, or is it like?
So I took a while to figure it out. I was using Sorado at the time, like that's how I got into it.
Yeah.
And then I just ran like a master loop essentially. Like someone showed me how to like run a master loop, and like I basically could only play for like an hour and a bit, and then I'd have to like reset the loop kind of thing. Because I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just basically like jamming a bunch of stuff together.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What kind of music were you like starting with when you were DJing?
Yeah. Well, like when I first started out DJing, we were like, it was a big trap era. So
Hell yeah.
we were like heavy into like Flostradamus and like RL Grime.
Just
and,
festival trap.
Yeah, festival trap. But then I was also big into house. So house, hip hop, trap. That's kind of how it started.
Okay. And then you kind of started on the controller, and then now you're using Sorado and Recordbox?
Yeah, I can use whatever.
Which one's your favorite?
Hey, don't forget to subscribe to Rose Motion TV. Now back to the video.
Honestly, like the convenience of Recordbox is always the best because of USBs and club standard. But personally, I think Sorado is a better software. I think it's just sharper. There's more performance features. It's just funner to play with. You have stems nowadays, like
Okay.
But nobody likes to bring a laptop to club really. So,
But I guess when you're playing like the longer sets, do you kind of run with Sorado? Because I kind of noticed that with a lot of the club DJs, like if they're running like a whole night or 4 hours or whatever, they bring the Sorado laptop so that they can use the hard drive, or you USBs typically, or
it really depends on the set, man. Like if
Yeah.
I'm playing house and just depending on the vibe, like I'll just use USBs.
Fair
if
enough.
I'm playing like more open format stuff like Afro beats, hip hop, if that's kind of like what is needed to be, then I'll bring my laptop. But I never want to be the guy to like change the whole setup for everyone. So that's why I kind of learned to play on both. Yeah.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, so when you have like when you're prepping your songs or whatever, do you have to do them both for each program, or do they like convert?
Yeah, bro, that is like the thing, man. Like it is it's a work in progress for sure, but basically yeah, like I was using a third-party software called Lexicon.
Okay.
And I just don't use that anymore because it was just way too expensive for the subscription. But as I was learning Recordbox, Lexicon would basically mirror my Serato software,
okay.
and then I could essentially like make crates within Lexicon, and then and not need to import the entire, because I like my hip hop stays on Sorado, and then the electronic goes on Recordbox. That's what I specifically use.
Fair
it
enough.
for.
I guess it's a little bit easier with like the electronic music because it's just so exact. So like Recordbox, it's like pretty easy to do, but I feel like a lot of the hip hop DJs or anything more urban, a lot of people kind of gravitate to Serato.
Yeah.
Are you a vinyl guy or just CDJs with the Serato?
No, I haven't actually gotten the opportunity to really spend too much time on vinyl.
Yeah.
But again, like when you're learning to DJ, it's like unless you have a friend that has access to gear that you can actually like play on that gear, there's no way that you're getting near that stuff, I
find vinyl so sketchy. Just like because I know a lot of people, like if they're playing on vinyl, they have to bring their own. Because like playing on other or the club system, it could just because I mean sometimes with mixers or CDJs at the club, and it's just like what the hell happened to this?
Yeah, well, recently there's these some guys from Vancouver, Keepsix. I don't know if they just played in Calgary a couple weeks ago, and I got to meet them. They got booked for Deep Down Inside out here.
Okay.
But we were just having this conversation, so now they're actually reincorporating a lot of vinyl into their set, and they think that there's going to be a big resurgence in vinyl, and they play house, so they brought like a fat box of like records with them, and
that's sick.
Which is dope. Yeah. So they're
actually
fire.
When I do
Shout
see
out
people, shout out to those guys. When I see people using vinyl for house, a lot of times it's like the day parties. I feel like because you get like the old disco records and stuff like that.
It's a lost skill, man. Like it really is, and it's also just so expensive.
Yeah,
it's just so expensive. So I think nowadays we have so much accessibility with music. Like, you know, everyone is learning to DJ. There's so many different controllers out. There's so many different softwares out. I feel like naturally vinyl is just like one of those like hidden skills, whereas like if you can develop an eclectic vinyl collection and incorporate it with what you're doing, that's like one of my goals, is to build like a really dope vinyl reggae collection, you know. So just like reggae, ska, dub reggae, like that type of stuff.
That'd be hella dope.
Yeah.
What's your view on Tractor?
Tractor.
That was the response I thought it was.
Yeah. Tractor. Well, Tractor's cool, man. Like when I was first learning to DJ, I like jumped on Tractor a bunch of times at like house parties and stuff.
That was for me
right?
the same thing. The S4, I think.
Yeah, I can't even remember. So I try and play on everything when I can, but if you're gonna be serious about DJing, like the club standard is Pioneer. You know what I mean? Like that's just the way that it is, right? It's like you're gonna have to make the jump regardless. And even if you stay with Sorado, which you can, you know, you're gonna really have to like deep dive into that and be like, okay, why do I play Sorado? Because it's like Flostradamus uses Sorado, DJ Snake uses Sorado. There are people that use Sorado, but I feel like it just depends on your sound and like if you can actually justify like changing the setup, you know.
Yeah, it is a lot. Just, I mean, I guess if you're a headliner, it's like they're catering to you, so it's fine because you can kind of bring your own stuff. But if you're opening or supporting or whatever, and you're like, this is my setup. I actually remember at one of the music festivals that Rose Motion played at, some guy brought like his controller. And so you know how in festivals it's just like this guy and then this guy and then this guy. Yeah. But then it was like this guy and then this guy and then that guy brought just his controller, and then it was like a 30-minute intermission, just getting him to plug stuff in. And
well, it honestly, like, everyone is always trying to get booked, right? That's the question. That's like the number one question is like, how can I get booked, man? Like, how can I get my stuff out there, right? And it's just like, if you can't play on the club standard, you're affecting your chances of getting booked. 100%. Because it's like the promoters would just rather not deal with that than book you. Because it's like, it doesn't really reflect how serious you are about actually being like a DJ or an artist, I think.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point.
Yeah.
So last year you were the Chasing Summer Versus champ.
Yeah.
What was that about? Like, what was the process of that? Or
Yeah. So I was lucky to be asked to be on the lineup, and basically for those of the people that are viewing that don't know, Chasing Summers has been kind of like the main festival out in Calgary, and one of the biggest ones in Western Canada for quite some time. It was like, I think, the first large electronic music festival that I went to for sure. And they choose local DJs, and basically there are, I think it was 2 rounds, 4 DJs, 2 rounds over the course of June.
Okay.
And then they put 2 DJs against each other. There were 1 to 3 anonymous judges in the crowd, so you didn't know who it was. And they basically, you did a coin toss, and then whoever won the coin toss could pick whatever slot they want. So as you would do either opening or headline slot, and then you would do a B2B with the person you were going against for the remaining of the time.
Okay.
And then they would judge you based on mixing and technical abilities, song selection, just crowd control, and then just like overall vibe. And then you got bonus tickets or bonus points for how many people you were able to bring out, and how many people got checked in under your guest list, because being a great DJ is one thing, but we all know that being a great promoter is just as important. So then I went through both rounds, and I ended up winning, and I got a main stage slot at Chasing Summers last year.
Hell yeah. Wait, so that contest was somewhere else, or?
It was in Calgary.
And then Chasing Summer is?
Also in Calgary, yeah.
But they were like different things. So it's like you won that, and then winning that you get to play like a couple weeks later or whatever.
Yeah. I got like a bit of a cash bonus, and then the competition was in June, and then the Chasing Summer slot was in August.
Okay,
so that
see.
was like
Yeah.
one of the prizes was that I get a main stage Chasing Summers slot. So it wasn't a crazy slot; it was still an opening slot, but
That's still pretty sick. I mean, that's kind of like a full circle moment, especially if you're saying you grew up going there. Like,
yeah,
that's pretty nuts.
Yeah,
How did that feel?
1,000%. 1,000. No, it was a great feeling, man. And it honestly, like, I feel like with most people that are getting involved in some sort of art or music or thinking about getting involved in some sort of creative avenue or discipline, you just kind of feel like almost like an outlier in society, right? Like people kind of make you feel weird for like
Trust, I know.
being into like stuff that isn't the norm.
Yeah.
And I've always kind of been the black sheep, but through that competition, I really was able to like build a lot of connections and gain respect in the local DJ community, gain a lot of friends, and really like find like a niche that I fit in, right? So, because I was always a music head, and I didn't identify as a DJ for like a very, very long time.
So was that your first festival? Like performing?
That was, so I did play like a smaller kind of festival in I think like back in 2021.
Okay.
Like in Golden, BC.
Oh, word.
But yeah, that was like the first big one.
First big one. So were you nervous?
I wasn't crazy nervous, man. And like, to be honest, like a lot of people ask me that, and you obviously do get nervous before, you know, with like a bit of the prep, but I don't know. I feel like sometimes when I'm behind the decks, man, it's like, that's where I'm meant to be. You know what I mean? Like I have like ADHD and I'm hella distracted in life and whatnot, but just being behind the decks, it like, I almost get hyper focused because it's like, this is all I got to do right now. Like I don't have anything else to do. This is where I'm meant to be. And all I got to do is pick a couple fire tracks, mix them together, and make people dance. So there is a bit of nervousness getting up to it. But for myself, whenever I do get behind the decks and kind of kick that little bit of nervousness off, I just kind of feel like I'm in the right spot, like personally.
That's sick.
Yeah.
How do how do festivals compare to DJing at like the club? Like what's kind of the thing they like taking that experience, how do you find that was different than like club gigs that you've done? Yeah.
Well, it's a little bit different because you never know who's going to be there, right? You never know. It's the same thing with club gigs, but there's obviously that, like, I feel like a little bit more added pressure with like a festival gig. So for this one, I had to get, you know, visuals and stuff lined up, right? Like I didn't have visuals, so I had to finally figure out a logo, do visuals, and your name's like on the big poster, right? So it's a lot more exposure. So with the club gigs, there's more room to kind of experiment and fail, I would say. But then when you like play like larger festival gigs, and I'm still super new and still learning, but you want to be able to put out something that's like authentic to you, right? Regardless of like, I think what everybody else thinks. Like when I finished my Chasing Summer set, I felt confident that was like, okay, this is a good representation of the sound that I've developed up until now. And I felt good about it.
Right.
And I think that's all you can really ask for, is just being like, hey, like I got a little bit of this, I got a little bit of this. It shows kind of my journey as a DJ and like the direction that I kind of want to go with my sound, as opposed to playing a large festival and then your sound being completely different.
Fair enough.
And then there's like not really much consistency.
Yeah, no, I feel you. So what kind of stuff were you playing then? Like,
yeah. So like I play a lot of like Afro house, so a lot of Afro house, Afro tech, but also kind of like global bass music and international global dance music, right? So it is a bit of a new wave that has surged, but it takes in a lot of like older remix elements and brings it into newer genres, you know, like maybe like baile funk, you know, Jersey club, right? And then you get like a bit of a house groove. So yeah, like I'm always experimenting, but a lot of it is very new international music.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a lot of the stuff that you're going to be playing, like, I guess probably even this week, because you got a couple shows this week, right?
I'm playing on Sunday, and then that is for a super dope fundraiser, actually, that I helped put together. And so it's called Party for a Purpose.
Okay.
And we're working with some friends that have an organization called Feed the Streets. And basically their biggest thing is they're trying to, you know, provide food for people that are experiencing houselessness in downtown Calgary. And but the whole organization is rooted in art and culture, so I thought they'd be a really good fit for it. And then we teamed up with Deep Down Inside and Remy, and they were able to put something together where all the proceeds, or a large fraction of the proceeds, are going to go to this organization. So anybody that comes out, your money will go to good use. And Mall Grab will be upstairs if you guys know who Mall Grab is. But that night I'm playing Afro House. So it's kind of a random tangent, but
No, that's amazing. Well, it's really awesome when you can just use the music to actually make a change. I mean, I feel like the music alone makes a change just by, you know, vibing out. And but the fact that you can do it to actually for a good cause is pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's good. And it makes me feel good because it's like, you know, going through this whole journey has been one thing, but then being able to kind of find the right people that actually care and want to give back, and being able to incorporate a music element to it is really cool, because, you know, times are tough for everybody. And if I feel like even with the DJs and people that are going out for the clubs, like it's tougher for clubs to get people through the doors just in general, right? Like club culture is definitely taking a bit of a dip. Like it's always going to be there. But, you know, if we can kind of bring people together with like a different motive, that's like what music's about. You know what I mean? Like music can really make moves.
Hell yeah. I do feel like, you know, Calgary, there are a lot of people that it's a little bit easier to kind of connect with people, I find. Like it's like I'm from Vancouver, and, you know, I love my city, but it is very difficult to connect with people and like put things together.
Right.
I find that even being here for just a couple months, like I've connected with some really cool people.
That's good, man. That's really good to hear. Like, I've come and left Calgary, you know, and I've been a strong advocate of like the food scene and the hospitality scene and like the art scene. And I agree, man. Like, I think that right now Calgary is really making a big push in terms of art, and not only music, but food, film, like murals. There's murals all over the city.
Yes, I've been seeing that.
And it is definitely becoming an art hub. And 1000%, everyone I think right now in the city is just definitely looking to collaborate. And, you know, Vancouver, Montreal are kind of like the pinnacle of like art in Canada, right? They've been pushing the boundaries for a while, but I really think like over the next like 5 years, we'll be able to compete with them, right? We'll be able to compete with multiple art industries. So yeah, 1000%. Like everybody in Calgary, I think right now is just like really looking to create change, and the city's definitely shifting for sure.
Yeah, no, it's cool. On the club wave, how do you deal with requests?
Yeah, like for sure. Like that's it depends, right? Like again, it depends, right? Like I can play open format, and I come from like a bit of an open format background. So like if I'm playing at like a college party, or maybe the booth is like a bit more accessible, then yeah, I'll take requests 1000% if they're not super far left, right? Like if
within reason.
Yeah, within reason. Like if somebody comes up and they're like, okay, they're feeling the vibe and they're like, hey, maybe you like I took a request like a few weeks ago and it was kind of like an Afro beats party and I was dropping like a little bit of like Shata and like some Latin edits, you know, and somebody wanted me to play like Bad Bunny or whatever.
Word.
You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, that's like not super out of the way. And I was like, I have an I'm a Piano Bad Bunny edit. You know what I mean? And it's like we can kind of meet in the middle where I'm not completely switching the vibe up, but then they hear a little bit of what they want. It still fits within the club promoter.
I feel like it's reasonable.
It's reasonable, yeah. But if
Taylor
it's like
Swift?
super far left, then it's like, yo, man, like let us cook, right? Like,
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
No Taylor Swift, just out of nowhere.
I've been like really trying to like put myself in environments where I don't have to deal with that, and I'm able to actually like express what, again, like going back to the festival, it's like, what are you putting out?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, what are you putting out? Like, do you want to be like an open format DJ, or do you want to like develop as like a DJ or artist in this sound?
Fair enough.
Right. So I've definitely, over the last like year of trying to take on less gigs, but higher quality gigs that I feel more confident are like more aligned with my development as an artist.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So what's your kind of like optimal set length, you think?
Optimal set length?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ideally, man, like obviously right now most people just get an hour.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like if I had the choice, I would like to do like an hour 20, hour 30 minutes kind of thing. But I also vibe and fuck with like the super long sets. Like I went back to Fiji and like some things happened. I ended up playing like a 7.5 hour set just randomly. Like it was like on a loft in the middle of the ocean. Like
That's pretty nuts.
yeah, and it just happened that way, man. But like when I was learning to DJ with my homies and then in COVID, we would just like eat mushrooms and I'd be in the basement just mixing for like super long. So
Hell yeah.
yeah, but that's how I kind of started, because it's like I didn't really start DJing because I thought it was like I wanted to be cool. Like obviously being a DJ is cool, but it's like I did it because I actually loved it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I can stay in the pocket for like a while.
Hell yeah. I mean, you have to have the passion. I feel like that's
Yeah.
with almost everything. Like you
Yeah.
really can excel when you love it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's the thing. Like a lot of like newer gen DJs and stuff, it's like just stay at home and just like mix music and build your library, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But
What's like the worst thing that's ever happened at a show?
oh, the worst thing. Like to me personally,
Just in general. Could be to you personally or to a friend. Weirdest thing?
the weirdest thing, I wouldn't say for me personally. I honestly am super lucky. I don't think I've had like anything super crazy happen to me on the negative sense, but I have helped like operationally with some shows, and then like the CDJ failed, you know?
Yeah, I love
or like,
that.
I don't know if you've heard of that or had that happen to you. It hasn't happened to me, but a few of my friends it's happened to, where just like one CDJ just like craps out and they have to like basically mix on like one.
That's pretty brutal. I think the worst thing technical wise is just like, that's pretty common, I find, is like the mixer. Like sometimes the mixer will just be like I remember the effects knob, it was like if you turned it on at all, it would just be like 100%. Like you use reverb and you go like a little bit and then it's just 100%. So there was no effects that day.
Yeah. That's why you sound check, man. Like, honestly, that's why you
Well, we
sound
did.
check.
It's just they weren't
It just
getting
didn't
another
work.
one. So it was like we recognized that it was broken. It's like, hey, it's broken. And
That
like,
that just happens, man. Like
It is what it is.
I can't really think off the top of my head. Maybe
That's
tonight
okay.
at like 3 a.m, I'll be like, oh, this was the thing, but
all good. What are some like downsides to being a DJ that people might not notice when they start?
yeah, downs for sure. Like, you know, like if I'm being like brutally honest, when you're first starting, like there is gonna be more downs than ups, you know?
Fair enough.
I got a little bit lucky, and I've been very blessed to make connections with the right people, and I had the love of music, and I just would kind of show up. So I naturally found like a stream that like fit for me. But I know that a lot of people don't have that luxury. And so I think that like one of the downs I would say is just trying to like actually find your sound. Like finding your sound and what you're going to play is can be very difficult. Some people just know, but I feel like most people, it takes time, you know.
And you're growing too.
Yeah.
Because it's like what you like at the beginning of your journey isn't always what you're 100% vibing later on. So it's kind of incorporating all that to kind of make your sound.
Yeah. And then I think another one, like another down would be, the hours are obviously rough, like, you know, especially if you're playing like pretty regularly, like it definitely takes a toll on like my own personal relationships, like with, you know, my girlfriend is like a bit of a homebody, you know what I mean? But she knows that like this is part of me and like my passion. So like she gets it, but that's something that we've definitely had to work through, like on like the personal side. And then also just like promoters, man, like not all promoters are just like not cool to work with, you know. Like some are, some aren't, but like just like politics, bro, just like venue politics and stuff like that sometimes.
Do you think that's what's kind of influenced you kind of doing some of your own shows, is the politics? Or
I haven't really, I think that's what everybody does, right? So I have like somebody that I work really, really close with that like gives me access to resources to be able to do that. You know, but so again, like I'm like a little bit more blessed and like shouldn't really, like I'm not on the like more difficult end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But then again, I've also put in the work and built the relationships to like get those opportunities. You know what I mean?
True.
So that's kind of the thing, because I always knew that I loved music and it was something that I wanted to be a part of. But again, that's for some people, like they don't have access to all of those things. So finding your stream, and dealing with the politics and finding your sound and trying to fund the project is like, you know, it's different. It's a lot of things, you know, and now like content is king. That's a whole nother thing.
Hell yeah.
That's a whole nother thing.
It's definitely an adjustment period, because if you think of like when, like even if you're like your parents or whatever, when they're thinking of a DJ, it's a guy with thousands of records, and that's the barrier to entry, is they have the gear.
Yeah.
Now everybody has the gear. You can get record pools. You can go to Beatport, whatever. You can just $50 and you can have like all the songs you need. Realistically, probably less than that, to be honest.
Yeah.
That you need for a set. So it's a much different barrier to entry. But there's so many things now that you have to do.
There's a lot, definitely. But then again, on the positive side, it's like some people just pop like really quick. Some people are just like, I don't really give a shit about like the promoters or the clubs, and like I'm just gonna stay at home and like make content, and then next thing you know, boom, some stuff goes viral or whatever on TikTok. So it's like, it's definitely a double-edged sword, right? Like it can get really, really overwhelming, but then there's a lot of people that have found a ton of success from it, you know. And I think like navigating what your niche is probably one of the most difficult things.
100%. I mean, you got to find yourself and be true to yourself, because it's because of the fact that there's so many things that you can do. You can literally go down any path.
Yeah. Well, and that's a blessing in disguise, right? Like we're so blessed to be able to do, like, have the choice of education and like choose to want to be a DJ. Like, you know what I mean? Where like people in other countries, like they like are just trying to get by, you know? So for us, we're like Recordbox or Sorado, like, you know what I mean? Like it's just, it's such an abundance of things that we can create, and I think it just comes from like within, and like you said, being true to yourself and asking yourself like, what am I bringing to the table? You know what I mean? Like what am I bringing to the table, and then what makes me feel good, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Touching back what you said on the relationship aspect of it, like how hard is it to, like, what are some of the struggles, I guess, that you go through having like a girlfriend and being a DJ? Because I feel like, you know, a lot of the stigma to being a DJ is that you're partying all the time, drinking all the time, girls are everywhere. So how do you deal with that?
You are partying all the time, and girls can be everywhere for sure. But again, like I was kind of, before we were good friends, but before we started dating, I was already like involved in the music industry. So it like wasn't super random. But again, it was definitely something we had to like work through and are still kind of working through. But, you know, if you're actually serious, like a lot of DJs are like, I'm sober. I've been sober since New Year's this year.
Yeah.
You know, so no weed, no alcohol, and that was kind of a trade-off for me. You know what I mean? Where it was like, okay, you're in the club super late, like, you know what I mean? All of this kind of stuff. It's like, if I actually care about music and like I'm being like, hey, this is a part of me. I'm actually using this to like develop my brand. I should be able to trade sobriety.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? For
honestly,
that, you know?
I think I've drank like twice this year, and it feels great. Honestly,
a lot of the OGs don't drink, man. Like, you know, it's a phase. Like, you definitely go through it and like have fun. And I'm not saying like don't drink and have a good time. But I think that like if you are actually trying to be a professional, that is another thing that promoters and people work for, right? Because when you actually start to kind of like wiggle your way and like are like, okay, you can bring something to the table, then after people are like, okay, you're a sick DJ, are you easy to work with? You know what I mean? Like, are you easy to work with? Can you fill rooms? Are you just going to be getting like blasted all the time and like showing up late? Like, you know what I mean? So
100%.
There definitely is a level of professionalism that you need to have in order to step into this industry if you want to be serious about it.
Yeah, no, straight up. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the patio events that you got coming up, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, personally, I love just day parties. I think that those are kind of, obviously in Canada, it's like we're kind of limited to the times that you can do that. But I guess kind of like, how do you find those versus like the clubs?
Right. Yeah. No. Again, like I work with something like or someone like Remy Party. Man, he's like, I can't take credit from him. So he throws down a lot of really big parties, and he is like a massive driving force in the local scene, and like has been a really like given me a lot of opportunities. And like I just feel like I try and come correct with what I can bring to the table, and with what he's done kind of in like the local industry, he's the one that like builds the relationships and finds like the right places to play. You know what I mean? So it's like we've developed a relationship where I'm like, okay, like I know that he's gonna kind of like move things forward and find like the dope spots, and then like that's how you kind of cohesively like, you can't do it on your own. You know what I mean? You can't do it on your own. And it's like, it's really, really tough because, again, like I feel like a lot of the promoters in the venues, they want tangible results, right? Like a lot of times, like they don't know what's going on in like the music industry, you know, they just want their room filled and they want like liquor sales to be good and they want the venue to do well. Right. So it's like, if you can do that for a venue, then like you're bringing the most value. But again, like, I think like to answer your question, it's just like, where do you think you vibe with, right? Like, it's just like, where is getting consistent traffic, right? Like where has reasonable price drinks? Like what demographic are you targeting? Who are you going to put on the lineup? You know what I mean? Totally. So these are all factors that like you have to take into consideration, in order to make sure that that event not only looks good from like a videographic standpoint, and the DJs are having a good time, but like the venue's having a good time.
Yeah, true.
Right. So it's like, before you even approach that venue, like you should be able to have a plan and be like, hey, like I feel confident that I can fill this space and my vibe is going to kind of like fit this.
Word.
You know what I mean? And then if you do that and you follow through, then they're going to want to have you, they're going to have everyone will be happy. Yeah. Right. But if it's a dope patio or venue and then you like don't follow through on it, then it's just like, you burn that. You didn't burn the bridge, but you kind of
made it a lot harder to get
the
back
opportunity to get back in.
Straight up.
Yeah.
So of all the venues, not necessarily venues, but settings, like you got festivals, clubs, daytime vibes, what do you think you resonate with the most?
Yeah, definitely the daytime vibes for sure. Definitely.
Can't go wrong with a day party.
Yeah. Well, that was like when I was like starting to put my first mixes out, it was something called like the Essence Mix. And I would just like, it would be usually on like a Sunday, I'd like burn some incense, and I would just kind of like, it was like very like Soulection vibes, right? So I'm like super inspired by Soulection.
Love those guys.
The shout out Joe K, you know? So that's kind of what I resonate with, in the sense of like just very like deep, eclectic, soulful, organic, international music. So I feel like naturally that just fits my sound, like the day sunset party kind of things. But I can throw down in a club. I can throw the 3 a.m., 4 a.m. sets down too if needed.
Straight up.
Yeah.
So you recently got into Ableton, right?
Yeah.
How's that journey going for you?
Man, it's a journey for sure.
I feel that.
Yeah. Like I've dabbled in it. Like I took like a couple workshops back in the day. But it's as of recent, and it goes back to, again, trying to take on less shows so I can spend more time in Ableton. And you know, when you first start, it's like, you're like, I have all these ideas, but I need to like, you know, be able to put it into the software.
Yeah.
So personally right now, I'm just kind of like constricted by the software, and like, you know what I mean? Just feeling confident in like navigating it.
Yeah.
Just kind of like when you start learning DJing. So I guess like my method right now is to, you know, find people that I vibe with and that can like help me cut the learning curve, you know? So it's like, if they're like producers that I respect and I think they're good producers, then I'll spend as much time with them as possible.
Hell yeah.
Right. And that's what's going to cut the curve, or else I'll just like sit here and be like constricted by the software.
No, it's pretty wild. I remember when I first got into it and I was like hella confident. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna crush this shit. I play guitar, I know what I'm doing, I know how to make music. And then I like turned it on. I was like, oh, it's gonna take a while, you know. So it's a lot.
It's a lot, man, for sure.
So do you think that the stuff that you're gonna produce is gonna be kind of on this Afro eclectic international vibes? Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely like, as I dip into Ableton, I'm definitely going to be going for like the deeper Afro tech, like mashups and edits and remixes, and I think that's kind of where my direction is, and I have some things that some like old sounds that I kind of want to cook up. So I definitely see a path forward, and that seems like, yeah, it just feels right for right now. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
When do you think we can expect some originals in this new vibe?
Yeah, man, for sure. I definitely, one of my goals is to start putting some stuff out this year. Like I want to definitely this year start to put out some original remixes and some original edits, to kind of like to set me apart for sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty much it. Do you want to shout anybody out? Where can everybody find your stuff?
Yeah, so my Instagram is _FRVNZ, so it's Franz, and then I got a link tree in there. My SoundCloud's on there. I'm just usually spamming Instagram really with shows and events that we're doing, supporting homies. So if you want to stay tuned on some of the hottest parties in that sound, maybe some unique places, some super cool networking events that I just generally show up to. Don't be a stranger, you know, DM me, come and say what up. I'm like super chill. It's all about community right now, and I think like the scene is growing, and the more people that are willing to be courageous and like step out and you know, say that they love music and be able to introduce themselves, that those are like, that's all you got to do. It just starts with introducing yourself.
Well, thanks for coming through, man. I
really bro, that was fire. That was such a good time. Thank you.
Hey, don't forget to subscribe to Rose Motion TV.